Hi, Ed. Looks like it may just be us today. Everyone's probably waiting for tomorrow's event. Okay. Oh, we have some more coming in. Welcome to part 3. Hello, whoever just joined us. If you want to just either let me know your name or go ahead and type it in the chat, I would love that. And today is part 3. So I decided to do this 8-part series training for a couple of reasons. I know how important it is really to understand the whole entire process of a short sale. Are all short sales right now, distress situation short sales? No, they're not. There's a lot of, hi Diana, there are a lot of areas where there's still equity sales is what we call them inside of my community. Regardless, you should get consistent and organized with getting in touch with these sellers, whether they have the equity or they don't. I would say it's about maybe it was 50-50. I would say more 75-25 now. So the few deals that I have going on right now, there's one equity sale. So they're still out there, but it doesn't matter, or it shouldn't matter whether they're equity or short. If you have the passion and the empathy to help these homeowners, it's okay. Just run with it. So whoever's sending live, so there's Ed and Diana, I am going to post the intake sheet for you. So sometimes we update this, but I want you to have access to that because that is what we're going to go over today. So part 3, excuse me, which is today, you're very welcome, is going over like 2 traits of really how to handle these distressed listings, okay? When you're calling them or when someone calls you, I don't love scripts. I just don't. So really the 2 big traits you want to have when dealing with distressed homeowners is the empathy and the compassion. If you are not a good listener, this is probably not going to be a good niche for you. There have been times where homeowners have called me and I spent like an hour just listening to them before I even started preparing like a game plan for them. So I say empathy and compassion because really you got to have those traits when dealing with these homeowners. They're going through a lot of hardship and they don't just need anyone. They need an agent who specializes or has a community behind them of really helping them navigate through these situations. Every situation is different. I've had the sellers on the run for murder. I've had sellers in prison. Lots and lots of wacky stuff, okay? If you're, actually, you know what? We never went live in the group. Let me hold on. It's been one of those weeks, I would say. So as I'm going live, because I totally forgot, if there are any questions, maybe about part 1 or part 2, or just really any questions in general, feel free to ask them. I love to answer questions. Hi, Kimberly. So we're just getting started. I forgot to go live in the group. So I'm going live now. And I did just post a link to the intake sheet. So let me repost that because I know you don't see it when you're just joining us. All right, there's a link to the short sale intake sheet, which we are gonna go over a little bit today. So today's session is part 3. And so if anyone's watching live in the group, sorry we are late, totally forgot to go live, but here we are. Today is part 3 of our 8-part series. And so the reason why I decided to do this 8-part series is because there's a lot of agents inside of our group. I can't get it. Well, maybe it's because I think you're on your cell phone. You just have to click the link. If not, you'll have to send me an email. Sorry. Is anyone else having problems clicking it? Okay. If you cannot access the Google Doc I just sent you, please let me know. But my guess, Diana, is it may be difficult to do it on your phone. I know sometimes I have problems on my phone with Google Docs. So anyways, we're on part 3. I decided to do this 8-part series training for a couple of reasons. One, I'm looking to grow my community, and I really want to find agents who have certain traits to join our community because America's in debt, bankruptcies are on the rise. If you don't believe me, it's true. Just look at the data. We research that all of the time. But I really want to provide like an overview of kind of like start to finish with short sales and distress situations. And it really kind of will get your feet wet a little bit and you can ask questions and I'll be able to answer them. So I'm really excited about the, this 8-part series. So Diana, I can't email it right now, but if you send me an email afterwards, I can send it to you. I don't want to just pause for everyone and send it. I'm sorry. So if you can't access it here, my guess is because you're on your phone, just a guess. Send me an email and I can send it to you, okay? Sorry about that. Okay, so part 3 today is how to handle these distress calls. Are anyone watching live in the group or the 3 of you that are on Zoom, are you currently marketing to distressed homeowners out of curiosity? I know we asked this question last week, but I talked to so many people I don't remember. Okay. I see some people watching live in the group. So if you're currently marketing to homeowners in a distress situation, I would love to know. So when we market to the distressed homeowners, so our number 1 lead source is our attorney relationships, okay? You don't know what to say. Okay, great. So this is gonna be a great session for you, Kimberly. So I'm sure most of you know, but we have 2 very, very good lead sources that we implement inside of our community. One is the attorney relationships. And there's a big, big attorney relationship series training that is going on right now. I will elaborate more on that during tomorrow's big event. If you have not registered for that, which I believe the 3 of you have, I will post another link. So our attorney relationships, how did we build those attorney relationships? Well, there's a specific way, but mostly with the books that I wrote. So I wrote books years ago and everyone has access to those books in our community. But the number 2 lead source is our letters. So once you get consistent and organized with all that, and I know we've talked about all of this in the last couple of weeks, your phone is going to start to ring. So I'm going to talk about the 2 traits that you really should have. If you don't have them, then I would say you're probably not in the right niche. And then we're going to talk about the intake sheet, okay? So the 2 traits are empathy and compassion. If you are not a good listener, this niche is not going to be for you. So you really, really have to listen to these homeowners. Let them tell you their story. It may take 15 minutes. It may take 2 hours. Give them the time because it will help them better trust you, okay? And so you want to listen to them. The more you know their story, the better you're going to be able to help them when the time comes, right? So sometimes I've listened to people for like an hour. But the other thing is, if you're going about this and all you want is deals or all you want is to make some money, I'm telling you right now, this is not the niche to be in. Okay. So feel free to log off or not listen. In the niche of distress sales, you have to have compassion. You have to have empathy for these homeowners that are going through such difficult times, and every situation is going to be different. If you go about it truly understanding, being a good listener, and helping them navigate through this, it is going to lead to so much more business down the road. In fact, I just got off a training in our community, and that's what we talked about. Like, we know what is coming. And so if we do it the right way now, it will lead to other business down the road. So one of our members has done 9 deals just from an original short sale. On Friday, I closed a buyer deal that was the fourth deal from that family, and it started with a short sale. So really go about it with the empathy and the compassion, not about the money. Can you make good money doing short sales and equity sales and being in this niche? Yes, yes, you can. You absolutely can. But you have to go about it a different way. If you do, promise you'll be totally fine. So let's talk about the intake sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if there's questions, please just post them in the chat. I would love to answer any questions that you have, even if it was from part 1 or part 2 or what's to come. Feel free to just ask. And then if anyone watching, which I see there are some people watching, if you have questions, please post them and I will do my best to get them answered. Okay, so I provide this intake sheet because I don't like scripts. So if you've been on my trainings, and we've been doing this live since last summer, every single week we have a training, you know that I don't like scripts. I feel like homeowners that are struggling financially, they deserve more than just someone reading off of a script. I don't like them. Maybe you do, and that's okay. But my whole goal with this group and my community is really to help agents understand how I've run my business, how I continue to run my business, and really mirror what I have done to be successful for long term. Okay. So, but I do have this intake sheet. So I always recommend that, especially if anyone new in my community, not this group, just so you know, this is the group that we're live in right now, but my actual community. So I always encourage them to print this and take it everywhere. Leave one in your car, put it in your purse, put it in your, your business bag, whatever you take, because this is what I kind of consider my script. Okay. So when a homeowner calls me, I'm thankful that they got my letter. I truly believe that they're blessed when they get my letter, because if anyone can handle their situation, it is going to be my team or my community. Okay. And so I let them tell me their story, but then I go in and I also try to get as much of this stuff answered as possible. So they'll be telling me a story and then they may pause and I'll be like, oh, well, can you tell me a little bit more about that? I can't give you specifics because literally every situation is different. Someone may have lost a job. There may have been a death, or there's so many different scenarios. But if anything, because they may not be ready right now, it may be a no right now, but it's probably not going to be a no forever. So you have to make sure you come up with a follow-up system, which we have all of that if you're interested in it. But you're going to want to make sure you get their name and the address, obviously. So you could send a handwritten note or more marketing in the future if they're not ready now. So I always try to get the email and the best contact as well. And then if we get further into the conversation, these are questions that are so, so crucial. Why? Because it is going to allow me and you to help come up with a game plan for them. The whole idea is to come up with this plan and hold their hand through the whole process. Okay. So when people inside of my community are asking, are getting calls, and I'm going to share something real quick. When they're getting calls, I encourage them to get this stuff answered and then post it in our group so we can all come up with a plan. So Karen in our group is she gets calls insanely. I think she's gotten several calls even in a day from the letters. But here's one of her calls that she posted about. And so she posted this, and then we go in and comment. I will either get in touch with her if she needs help. Do I need to help make a call with you? Or I'll do a video for her. It says, and another one. So she got 4 calls in like one day from her letters. So she's been quite busy. But all right, so here's the question. So why are these so important? Again, it's going to help us come up with a game plan. Okay. Every scenario is different. FHA works different than conventional, works different from Fannie Mae. There's a lot of moving parts. Okay. So who lives in the property? Big question. Is it a tenant? Okay. Well, if it's a tenant, are they cooperating? Hopefully they're giving you the full story. Maybe they're not, or maybe the seller is just pocketing the money. I've seen it all. But we also don't love to deal with vacant properties in the Midwest or any cold region in the winter time because of burst pipes. So it's just really a good idea to understand who's living there. Okay. How many months behind on your mortgage? So I do ask this, but it's, you know, they're probably not going to know. Okay. And that is okay if they're not sure. I think really what you want to know is, are you at the end of the process or are you not? Do they have an auction date? Do they not have an auction date? So inside of our community, we market heavily to families that have an auction, but we also have a series letter that goes to the families that have a pre-foreclosure. So you never know who's calling. So that's why it's good to ask these questions. How many mortgages, who the mortgage company is. Why is that important? Because every mortgage or servicer, lender, whatever you call it, they're going to work a little bit differently. And I'm pretty sure that either myself or someone inside of our community has dealt with them, and we would be able to help you navigate through that. FHA or conventional. I believe in this group we did just a one-time training on FHA. FHA are complicated. So if you get FHA, there's going to be a little bit more work involved. Is there an auction? Did they file for bankruptcy? So if they did, which one was it? It's a difference. Okay. Chapter 7 is wiping away all the debt. 13 is a payment plan. There is a difference. And there's a lot of moving parts when someone has done a bankruptcy and then they're going to sell. So that's why we ask who is the bankruptcy attorney. Okay. HOA. I know a lot of people in the there's actually a lot of members in our community that have had these like HOA issues, like they're marketing to families that have HOA issues. We want to know, is there an HOA? Okay, if there is, are you current or behind? And then there's steps for that. If they're current, stay current, please. If they're not current, was it included in the bankruptcy if they filed? How far behind are you? So those Okay, can everyone hear me? I have no idea what just happened. I've never had that happen, but my internet went completely out. Um, so I am truly sorry. So we are gonna have to have kind of like two parts to this. Very weird. Okay. So can everyone hear me now? Okay. Weird. That's frustrating. Okay. I just want to make sure we're still live in the group. So I think Cecilia just entered. I am going to post so there's the link to the intake sheet, and I am, again, very sorry that that happened. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so we were talking about the intake sheet. I have to figure out, since I got logged off, if it's now going to be two videos for a replay. So, well, we have covered a lot already. So if there's questions, start putting them in the chat. So that way, you're welcome. I can get them answered at the end, okay? So we were talking about liens and judgments. So if someone isn't making their mortgage payment, then there may being the key word here be other liens or judgments on the title. So that means you're going to have to negotiate those off. You have to give the buyer clear title. And so one of those could be an IRS tax lien. And so inside of our community, I have done IRS tax lien trainings. It's actually, I mean, I say it's easy because I've dealt with it for so many years, but there is a process of getting the IRS tax liens released from the title of the property, not released from the homeowner individually. They're still going to be responsible for that, but it's just releasing the lien on the title so they can sell as a short sale. Okay. In a short sale, the sellers don't make any money. And so we can prove to the IRS that, hey, the sellers aren't making any money. And, here's all the details. Kim, get to that in a second, but would we to see the paperwork they have received? Are you referring to the foreclosure paperwork? So if you want to just comment on that, I will make a comment after I'm done going through this. But great question. Please ask any questions if you're uncertain about something on the intake sheet. Maybe you have a current situation going on, or you've heard of something or whatever. Please post it. I absolutely, the way that you're going to learn the most is to ask questions. So that's about the IRS. Now, if you have state tax liens as well, so I'm in the state of Illinois, I've dealt with state of Illinois taxes. They are fairly similar no matter where you're at, but again, there's a process for that as well. So if you see a title commitment, which you should be reviewing, if you are in the niche of distress sales or thinking about it, you have to make sure you understand a title commitment and what's involved. If you're reviewing it and you see IRS tax liens, no big deal, okay? And then this kind of comes to, listening to them and being a good listener. What happened? So I don't fill this out anymore. I can literally remember everything in my head, which is crazy, but I encourage all of my members in my community to fill this out. What is a synopsis of what happened? Was it a divorce? Or the reason why you have to ask those questions is some situations, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to help these people. So, for example, if it's a husband and wife, so I got a call from my letter, and it's a husband and wife on the title. I'm sorry, she was on the title, he was not, but they both were on the mortgage and the title. So she assumed that she could come in and sell. Well, no, she can't. And he was long gone. He was like MIA. He just left them. And unfortunately, I couldn't help her because in a short sale, whoever's on the title, yes, signs all the paperwork. But anyone who's on the mortgage is going to have to help me fill out the paper. Well, I don't fill it out, but they're going to have to fill out the short sale offer packet and complete all that and send it to the bank, or we send it to the bank. We prepare the packet, but they have to be involved, and he's gone, long gone. So unfortunately, I couldn't help her. So it's really a good idea especially if you're planning to take on the niche of distress sales. I think at one point we had like 70 of these going on. And so it's really a good idea to save this intake sheet and put it in their file, scan it, put it in, your system that you use. And then the other thing is, do you want to keep, what is your plans? Do you want to keep the property? Do you want to sell it? And if they are in denial and they are dead set on selling it, and they have received your pre-foreclosure series letter, that is a good time to stay in touch with them. Okay. Just because it's a no now doesn't mean it's always going to be a no. Okay. Just keep that in mind. In fact, I am listing a house at the end of the month, and I've been talking to them for like 4 years. So here in the state of Illinois, especially with everything that has gone on, unfortunately, it's a reverse mortgage, and I am seeing a lot more of those. If they don't want to keep the house, then let's schedule a time to meet and go over everything. If someone has an auction and they want to keep the house, it is probably unlikely. But you want to give them all the scenarios and have them do their own due diligence, because what you don't want to happen is that they are like, yeah, I'll come on board, and then they're not going to cooperate. You have to have 110% cooperation for anyone involved on the title or the mortgage, okay? The other thing to keep in mind is divorce cases. So I have done plenty of those in the day. And if they are divorced and they both have to be involved, can they be involved together? Can you meet with them together? Or are they not good? And do they have to meet separately? If they have to meet separately, make it happen. Make it easier for them. Okay. You're there just to help, not to get involved in their drama. So you go and meet with husband, and then you go and meet with wife. Okay. Now, if they are officially through the divorce and they have a divorce decree that says, okay, husband, you file a quitclaim deed, husband is removed from the title. Great. Okay. You want to, you're going to have to show this to the bank. So definitely get the divorce decree, but there is definitely some complications behind that. Mainly is that no one ever files that quitclaim deed. So it is very possible that both parties are going to have to be involved. If they do have the divorce, it's finalized, they have the decree giving direction of the property and a quitclaim deed, it is possible, and this doesn't happen that often, I think maybe a half dozen times in my 17 years, that they could just continue without that person. Okay, make sense? Okay, so that's the intake sheet. This is what I use. This is what my community uses versus a script. Okay, so I would love to answer any questions about the intake sheet or short sales distress situations in general. Now, remember, if you were logging in now, at the very beginning, we talked about the empathy and compassion, which you really have to have. This niche is not going to be for every single agent. Okay. If you are an agent that has it on your heart and you truly want to help, this is a perfect niche for you, because you're ultimately going to be helping these homeowners get out of a bad situation. And if you do it the right way, it will lead to lots of business down the road. So I'm just going to check the live feed, and then Kimberly, I will answer your question. Crazy, it went off. Okay, so Kimberly asked, would we ask to see the paperwork they received? So I'm assuming you're saying the foreclosure paperwork. I never asked for the foreclosure paperwork. The reason why, it's thick. There's a lot. I don't really care so much about that. I never look at it. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm wondering, just because no one's commenting. So I just want to make sure everyone can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I don't look at the foreclosure paperwork, Kimberly. When I do meet with them, I do ask them to have like a most recent mortgage statement or something from their bank, mainly because I want to get the loan number. So they will sign an authorization to allow my team to speak to their lender. We don't want the sellers to have to do anything. We don't really want them to have to lift a finger except cooperate with showings and provide us any paperwork. And so my team does communicate with their bank. And so I usually just get a mortgage statement from them. And I'll snap a picture or I'll just write the loan number and stuff on the authorization while I'm there. Is that what you were asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, because you were saying you're not sure where they are at that point, and I'm thinking maybe they don't even know where they are at that point. So if I saw paperwork, I could see a little bit better where to even start.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the homeowner should know. They may not know how many months behind, but they have a general idea of where they're at in the foreclosure process. So,
Okay.
if you're in a Liz pendant state, have you been served papers? They should know if they have an auction. If they don't, then you could ask them who their lender is and advise them to give the lender a call. I have 6 pages of lender contact information. I don't give it out in this group, but it is in our community, which makes it easier for you to just say, hey, I have the number for SLS, or I have the number for whatever bank it is or servicer. Okay. Advise them to call their bank and just say, hey, I'd like to know if there's a scheduled auction date on my home. So sometimes we do have to have that. But if you've been on my previous trainings, you know that we use property radar. So you could certainly look, you could look all the data up in there as well. So I always love when someone calls me and I'm in front of my computer. That doesn't always happen. If it doesn't happen, I make sure I get the address so I can look everything up when I get back to my computer and then call them.
Okay. Um, I think I'm still just confused of, and maybe this isn't the place, but so you're saying if they've already gotten the foreclosure letter, then we really can't help them. Is that right?
Um, no, that's not true.
Oh, okay.
So foreclosure letter. So I'm not 100% sure what happens in an NOD. I know it is filed. Everything is filed with the county. So there's NOD and there's lis pendens. Once they have that filed, whether it's NOD or lis pendens, yes, you can still help them. You can help them all the way up until it actually gets foreclosed on. Okay. But there's different strategies involved depending on where they're at. And that is confusing a little bit, reason why you'd have to have a community behind you, but you can help them all the way up to that. So a lot of homeowners are misunderstood and they think once they have an auction on their property, Kimberly, that they can't do anything else. That is actually false. It's not true. So there are still some options for homeowners when there is an auction on their property. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay.
Okay. So foreclosure, like if they were foreclosed on, it went to auction. So I like to help the families. Our community is on this mission to help families, not the banks. Once it gets foreclosed on, then it eventually is going to become an REO pretty quickly after. It just depends on the state a little bit. It becomes an REO, real estate owned. There's nothing that you can do. The homeowner is done. They're out by that point. And that's a lot of people are REO agents. It is a different ball game when you're an REO agent. I don't like it because one, it's helping the bank. Our passion lies with helping the homeowner. Why? Because the bank doesn't really give a rip about you. The homeowner cares, and it will lead to other business down the road if you do it the right way. The other reason I don't like REOs is because you do have to put a lot of money out as a listing agent. You have to get it rekeyed, you got to clean it up. And do they pay you? Yes, but you have to front all of that and then they will reimburse you and you have to fill out all these forms and it's just a pain. So it's very different. We don't we don't discuss anything REO or foreclosed upon or anything in this group. It's how can we help the homeowners when they first got the NOD or lis pendens all the way up until the auction.
Got it. And then did you say, I might have missed it, but you said then some of that, like I know homeowners associations are a pain in the bottom. Um, you're saying that could be obviously paid through the process if there was a lien on it from the HOA?
So there's a lot of different scenarios in that case. So we've done some trainings and stuff on REOs inside of the community, but every situation is going to be a little bit different. So ideally, let's just make this easy now, Kimberly, because I don't want to confuse you. But if
Right.
there's an HOA, we are highly encouraging the homeowner to stay current on the HOA. Okay. If they are not current, then there's a couple of different ways to get that paid. It's going to have to be paid at closing because there's going to be a lien on the title and we have to get that off of the title in order to close.
Got
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just because they're behind on their HOA doesn't mean that we can't help them, I guess is another kind of way to put it for you. Because I know there's a lot of HOAs in the United States. We have Bonnie is inside of our community and she's in Las Vegas and she's dealing with a ton of HOA stuff. And it's a really great learning experience. But we want to try to help everyone. But that's why it's so important to ask these questions up front. So that way you may be 100% confused on what's going on, Kimberly. But if you have all those questions in place, then we get on a Zoom or I make a video and I explain everything and then say, okay, here's an option A for this homeowner and here's an option B. So it just depends on where they're at in the foreclosure process of how many different options they may have.
Right, right. Because I'm almost afraid to send out the letter because if I get a call, I won't know what to say.
Yeah, so that is true. So I'm a firm believer, and don't anyone take this the wrong way, but I'm a firm believer if you don't have some sort of community behind you, you're doing a disservice to the seller. These sellers really need someone who understands what's going on, or that they do have a team around them, because it is complicated. Every situation is never the same. So if you're looking to start sending out letters, I think all of you are signed up for my event tomorrow, which is really going to be a breakdown of the 17 steps that we've created in order for you to be highly successful inside of our community. It breaks it down super easy. You get through the 17 steps and it's going to get you consistent, mainly in the letters and the attorney stuff. So I don't know, Cecilia, if you're scheduled. But Kimberly, do you have any other questions?
I guess it's just gosh, I really have so many, but I'm getting the language down a little bit better as I read some books and just try to understand the whole sequence of events. And it sounds like we do a ton of paperwork. Is that right? Because we don't want them to do the paperwork. We're processing everything. Is that right?
So, um, look, with a short sale, is there paperwork involved? Yes, but there has to be a simple system. That's what you're going to get inside of my community. It is simple. I will teach you how to get organized and consistent. You don't want to fill out the paperwork for the homeowner. So,
Oh,
there's a listing documentation that you'll have. Once you get the offer, then you're going to have to collect paperwork from them. We have a template on what to collect and all the documents you need. Um, but they're going to have to fill that out. You can't fill it out. You don't know their financials. So they fill it out and then you want to verify everything. You have to review it all before you actually prepare the packet and send it to the bank. So there's going to be some paperwork that you have to do, but most of the time the sellers are going to be providing that stuff to you. And we already have like a checklist for them. We really try to make it easy.
okay. So, okay, this is going to sound like a really stupid question, but I'm going to ask
I
it
don't
anyway.
think any question is stupid, but go ahead.
Okay, because I'm just trying to get it. So, as the the professional in this, my goal is to one, of course, help this family. And if they have equity in their home, my goal is to put that house up for sale and be the person to put it up for sale so that they can pay off their debt and one either then get out of the house, or you were saying you don't really want them to stay in the house. And so is that my objective? I guess I'm trying to is to that's how I'm going to ultimately make money, is by having them put their home up for sale. Is that correct?
Correct. But ultimately, you're marketing to these families because you want to help them. And the
Correct.
way to help them is to sell their house. Well, in order to sell, it's either going to be a short sale or an equity sale. And there's a whole process behind figuring out if it's equity or short. You may look online and say, oh, there's equity. I don't
Right.
know. Okay. But the whole objective is to sell their house and either help them ultimately avoid the foreclosure. Having a foreclosure on your credit is the worst possible thing. Everyone thinks bankruptcy is worse than foreclosure. That is false. You're
Oh,
hearing it from me. It is false. Foreclosure is like a felony. It's bad, bad, bad. Most people will do the bankruptcy and short sale. If they can't do the bankruptcy, they'll short sale. Okay. So it's either short sale or equity sale. And then there's definitely some things to figure out, the difference. Okay. And that's something we would help you navigate through. But
okay.
the ultimate goal is to help them avoid the foreclosure. It properly gets their name off of title. They can move on. If it is a short sale situation, the deficiency is waived. That's a huge thing. If they go to foreclosure, they have the potential to get sued. Okay. Not in a short sale, it's waived. So we go, I mean, I do have some special guests that come on and, my attorney, my tax, I had my rental agent come on in February, and we do talk more about that stuff. But I guess in simple terms, Kimberly, your objective is to help them avoid the foreclosure and sell, whether it's short or equity.
Okay. Okay. And by doing that, I, as their agent, I sell their real estate.
Correct. You are going to be the distressed expert specialist in this situation, and you're going to hold their hand through every stage of what is going on, and then
Mm-hmm.
they sell. So you would be the listing agent. In a short sale situation for distressed sales, short sales you should get 3.5%, 2.5 to the buy side. Okay. If
Mm-hmm.
it's equity, I don't ask for 3.5. I do 2.5. Totally up to you because I'm all about saving money for the seller if they do have equity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I just
But the bank pays you. The bank is paying you. This should not cost your sellers anything. Do not ask them for money. If you want to get professional photos, don't have them pay for it. They're going through a lot. You want to do all that. It's a write off for you. Can't ask them for any money. Just don't.
yeah, yeah. And I would assume that that's a whole different market that you market to, right? Of short sales that are distressed.
Well, we pull the data and we send, we have we separate everything. That's so, so, so important. Auction has a specific letter, pre foreclosure has a specific letter. And so, but I don't go into detail and I don't research much like, is there equity or is there not? Because you have no idea what's going on with the title. If it's FHA, you may have a partial claim. Like, I know that's going to be totally confusing, Kimberly, but there's just, you got to learn to market just to auction and just to pre foreclosure. So there's just a big difference.
All right. All right. So yeah, I'm anxious for tomorrow just to continue to learn and get it organized in my head.
Yeah, it takes time. I do, I'm only live in this group every Thursday for 30 minutes. And it's just as like a 2% of what actually goes on inside of the community. And I will show some more of the community and what's going on inside of there tomorrow. But really tomorrow is to like the launch, the easy way to just come on board and take these steps. And, we're live in our other group 4 times a week. So there is so much conversation and learning and stuff going on in there. So
Mhm.
Ed and Diana and Kimberly, I know you are registered for the event tomorrow. Sandra and Cecilia, I don't know if you registered, so I'm just going to post this again.
Thank you. I have not. What time is
It's going to be at 10 a.m. Central. My guess is it will probably be about an hour. I don't normally do anything on Fridays. Fridays are my day to get groceries, do something for myself. But I know the changes that are coming in our industry, not only with the settlements and people wanting to become a listing agent. And I'm only looking for, a few people, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. But tomorrow's presentation is really, let me show you the PDF of all of what you need to do. It's a 17-step process. It is easy. And I think anyone who is organized will love it. And if you're not organized, you're going to be like, wow, this is great. So, and then I will show you the community and all that. So Cecilia, did you get the link?
Yes, I am registering right now.
Okay. Thanks. And then Sandra, it's there as well. I can't remember if you were registered or not. If you were, then it's in the system. My team, my virtual team keeps track of that. Otherwise, the replay for this will probably be available Saturday. Again, I'm not sure, since I got logged off with my silly internet, what will happen, but once it's available, I will post it in case you guys want to watch the replay. Otherwise, I will see everyone tomorrow. Come if you can, show yourself on screen, great. I really try to make my events conversational. I want to hear from you. I want to know where you're at. I want to know what you're struggling with. I want to get to know you and any questions that you have about this 17-step success guide. So I will see everyone tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
We will get the recorder of this one, right? Since I missed more than half.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, so Celia, it will be since I have the event tomorrow, I think the recording for this will be available on Saturday. So
okay, no problem then. It will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be on the lookout. I'll post about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.